This is the first of the slides that we'll be doing on Parashara's Navagraha. And to learn about the Navagrahas, we'll be going through Parashara's shlokas one after the other. We'll go through the shlokas of Parashara. I'll explain the shlokas to you and also the hidden meanings in those shlokas. I'll be going slowly, so there's ample time for you to stop me in between. You can ask me questions in between. You want to take a break, you can always take a break, come back, the thing is recorded, so there is no problem. I mean, it's a class which is very easy to handle. Okay. The definition of the grahas. That which are seen to move refers to the apparent motion. That means you have to see that these planets are moving. What happens if you don't see them move? That means they are not graha. So that which was not moving was defined as nakshatra. So when the grahas become stationary in a nakshatra, they take on the complete power of the nakshatra and become a part of the nakshatra. And that much of grahana is reduced. And why are they called graha? Because of their power to eclipse. The word eclipse is grahana. So you can see the word graha comes from the first two sounds or the first five English syllables of grahana. So what is this graha going to eclipse? He is going to eclipse the mind, the soul and the body. So the mind, the soul and the body. What eclipses the mind? Desire eclipses the mind. The mind can only be eclipsed by desire. See, we all have a mind, and there is no reason why our mind should fail to function. The only time that the mind can fail to function normally is because of a desire. Desire causes bias, and bias causes the mind to fail to function. Now, desire is seen from the 7th house. Okay? And if I say a planet like the moon would symbolize the mind, therefore, where does the eclipse of the mind occur? It occurs in the 7th house from the moon. Please keep that in mind. The mind is eclipsed by desire, the soul is eclipsed by karma, and the body is eclipsed by hunger and thirst. These are three lines that you must grind into your head. You must try to fully understand this. So today, you need to make a list of these three lines and you need to meditate on these points. Mind is eclipsed by desire. What does that mean? How is my mind getting eclipsed by desire, and how am I going to get out of that eclipse? How is my soul eclipsed by karma? And what is the meaning of getting out of the eclipse of the karma by the soul? How will the soul escape this eclipse of karma? The body is eclipsed by hunger and thirst. How do I get out of this eclipse of the body? These are things we must contemplate. We need to meditate on this, because the ultimate purpose of Jyotish is to understand how to get out of the eclipse of the mind, or the eclipse of the soul, or the eclipse of the body. That is the ultimate objective of Jyotish. Now, an important thing to note, the sun has no motion and it is still a graha. Why is it so? Because it has an apparent motion. Please see the word apparent motion. As such, the sun has got no motion. But if we look at the sun in the sky, it rises in the eastern horizon, it climbs up in the morning, in the noon it's right above the head, and then it starts falling down, and at sunset it has set in the western horizon. So the motion that we are talking about is the apparent motion. Now think about it. So that means this apparent motion of the sun is what is causing Surya to be defined as a graha. If sun did not have apparent motion, it is not a graha. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It's very funny. So now when I ask you a question, so what is sunrise? Is sunrise the apparent sunrise, or is it the true sunrise?
It's apparent.
It has to be apparent. Exactly. This is the catch. And that is why Varahamihira insisted that it must be apparent. Parashara insisted it is. See, Parashara has hidden it very nicely. In one little word, he talked about movement. And in that movement, all that we are discussing now is just from about 5 words in Brihad Parashara. Just 5 words. You see, if the sun does not have motion, and only thing that is causing it to become a graha is the apparent motion, then it is the apparent visibility that will cause sunrise. And sunset is the apparent setting. This point, so it has become very clear that whenever we talk of sunrise and sunset, it has to be the apparent sunrise and sunset. If we don't use apparent sunrise and sunset, that means how do you define Surya as a graha? Next, Gautam Buddha, Tathagata, he made a very fine statement. Human beings and all creatures are also travelers on this planet. The word graha also refers to the traveler, because they are traveling in the sky. Is it not? Just as the planets are traveling in the sky, so also human beings and all the other creatures are travelers or visitors to this planet. Like you travel from London to India, you are a traveler. You visit, you spend some time, and then you go back home. Like that, the truth of life is, you are a traveler to this planet. This is not your home. The problem is, the eclipse causes you to believe that this is your home. It is the grahana, the eclipse, that is what is causing you to believe that this is your home. But Gautam Buddha has made it very clear that you are a traveler. And when you travel, there is an eclipse. You basically are being guided by one eclipse to another eclipse. The first eclipse is your first dasha. Second eclipse is your second dasha. Your third eclipse is your third dasha. So different eclipses, you probably pass through a bunch of eclipses before you finally end the journey. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. This graha definition slide, I would like you to meditate slightly more into this, and if possible, write a nice essay for yourself. Because that essay will bring a lot of meaning into your life. Your life will no longer become meaningless. You will know where you are traveling. Because as a traveler, you need to have a travel plan. You just can't catch any flight. You need to know which flight to catch. Because a certain flight will take you to a certain destination. That is what Jyotish is all about. Jyotish is your travel guide.
The eclipse of the soul is directly related to the Atmakaaraka, right?
Exactly. Excellent point. Not only Atmakaaraka, but the sun also. We will see both of them.
The sun,
Yes,
yeah.
the sun and the Atmakaaraka. Here the moon and the Amatyakaraka, desire. Because desire causes you to do more karma, and karma is always done by the Amatyakaraka and the Dharakaraka. Now when we talk of the body eclipsed by hunger and thirst, 6th is the house of eating, 12th is the house of fasting. So the freedom from hunger comes from the 12th house. You have to learn to fight hunger. The only way to fight hunger is to fast. That is why I tell people to do Upapada Vrata. What am I teaching them to do? I am only telling them to learn the first step in getting out of the eclipse of the body. If you get out of the eclipse of the body, your marriages and your relationships will be far more meaningful. You won't just look at a spouse as a possible cohabitor, that's all. It's not just a body. Your spouse is not just a body. You will be able to see the beautiful mind of your spouse. You will be able to see the beautiful soul of your partner if you fast. Because then you have got out of the eclipse of the body. Do you see that? How the Upapada Vrata is actually working. Because you are fasting on the Maya that is associated with the 12th house. Therefore, the 12th house opposes hunger and thirst. It is natural opposition to the 12th house, to the 6th house, which is stomach and eating. Feeding the stomach comes from the 6th house. Hunger, the feeling of hunger comes from the 6th house. Though the 5th is the stomach doesn't give the message. It is the lower, the intestines that give the message to the brain. Look, time to eat. Why? Because the intestines only know if they have been cleared. If you haven't gone to the toilet, you can't eat. Because you're feeling full and bloated.